great. So that was an amazing film there. I think that was by Elliot, wasn't it? Who we interviewed earlier today.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was interviewed much earlier on. I think part of the joy of this programme, it's live streaming, but people can actually watch it again at their own leisure and skip backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lovely, lovely film, isn't it?
Right.
Really
So
good.
we're back now and we're interviewing Octavia, and she's going to talk to us about presenting. So Octavia, where did your interest in wildlife stem from?
I guess, growing up in Shropshire, you can't not be interested in kind of what's going around you. I don't think, it's such a rural county. But I think that my main my interest in wildlife really came from my parents. They were great advocates of sort of getting out involved in the countryside and sort of conserving the green spaces that we've got around us as well. My mum particularly, she's involved in a lot of conservation, and then my dad, he's mad for wildlife. He's always, all throughout my childhood, he was sort of turning over logs, looking under them, trying to find beetles or earthworms or snakes. He has this particular kind of passion for anything creepy, crawly and disgusting, like leeches or whatever, but it was really those two that got me interested in wildlife and got me kind of curious about wildlife, because I think with a lot of wildlife it doesn't come to you. You've got to really go out there and try and find wildlife and delve around, immerse yourself in the environment, and that's how you see a lot of these wild creatures. So that's really where it came from, was my
So that must have been a wonderful environment to grow up in then.
I have a very privileged upbringing in Shropshire. I originally came from Kent, and coming up to Shropshire really made me realise, the land around us is so populated, especially in Britain, but there are these little pockets of wildlife and sort of, nature reserves like the Meres and Mosses, that they're absolute gems. They're just nestled sort of in these populated places, and they are gems. They're gorgeous. So.
So it's one thing to be curious about wildlife and go out there and study it yourself, and I'm sure that's great fun, but you've chosen to share that with people by choosing being a wildlife presenter as your career. What made you take that decision?
I guess, I started off at sort of university, and I studied environmental science, so I already had sort of a background in it, and I did lots of volunteering for the RSPB, their site in Innis here near Machynlleth. I spent sort of a couple of years volunteering there, and then I went on to work for environmental consultancies, and I realised that actually where my passions lay was not sitting behind a desk reading about the environment or reading about these species that are becoming extinct. There's so many fascinating stories out there and amazing people. I just felt I wanted to share these, and I wanted to sort of be part of sharing other people's amazing stories, because the people that are involved, Joan Daniels and Pete from the Meres and Mosses, from Wixell Moss, they're amazing people, and I'm not one of those amazing people, but I want to go out there and share their stories and really just inspire people about wildlife, and kids especially, because they're just they're our next generation. They're so important in sort of our wildlife's future, really.
So for anyone wanting to get into this kind of thing, to become a wildlife presenter, what kind of advice would you offer them?
It is it's a really tough industry to get involved with, and directors, people sort of in the industry always say it's getting the right place at the right time. But I've maintained sort of this 3-step rule. Firstly, you've got to have a passion for your subject. So, if it's wildlife, then you've got to be able to talk all day until the cows come home about wildlife, or whatever it is. You've just got to have that passion for it and be able to put it across to other people, in order, because the cameras, they don't lie, and also they always make you look a lot duller than you are, so that's the thing, you've got to have a passion. And then probably the second thing is practice and rehearse. So I spend a lot of time in my car or in front of the mirror, just sort of speaking and just sort of listening to how I sound and how I look. I probably look ridiculous, going along talking to myself, but it's a good way to practice and try and sort of making your own films and things like that. And if you do watch those films, we'll probably look back at this and just think, oh my God, that was so cringy, but it's a great learning curve. And then the third thing, just don't give up, be relentless, because, it's an industry that you have to be relentless in. Don't give up and say yes to everything.
Something wonderful. Thank you very much, Octavia. It's great.
Yeah.